listeners. Welcome to another episode of Romance Unraveled. This is one of your co hosts, Jacob Bozen.
And this is your other co-host, Abigail, for my final week this month.
That went by so fast.
I know, I'm sad actually. You better have me back on sometime soon.
Of course. But yeah, so today for this week, our final Mormon themed story, we have one of my friends. His name is Jordan. Him and I met, I think, in maybe August, maybe September at volleyball here when I moved back to Utah. But so, yeah, Jordan, let's just have you introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I guess I am Jacob's recent friend. I've been living in Utah for 3 years now and enjoying everything with that.
Where did you move from? I don't think I even know him.
I came from Colorado. I was
Okay.
in Breckenridge for 3 years before I got here.
Okay, not too far then. Well, I mean, this story that you're going to tell today, I honestly don't really know anything about. I just know the general outline. So, let's just turn it right over to you and get right into it.
But I mean, in moving to Utah, one of the questions that was asked from my Colorado peers was like, what about the Mormons? And I would always say, like, I know how to coexist. Like, I got this. I did my Eagle Scout um, through the church when my dad converted for my adolescence. It was actually pretty formidable, like, years of my life that I would say.
And
Where
so
like
you,
Utah almost feels kind of like full circle. I don't know, or like that I was supposed to be here, but like I came here to teach people the joys of sinning.
oh, I love it. So you were never formerly Mormon, even though that your dad was.
No, they persisted constantly to get us baptized, but we were raised Irish Catholic, like baptisms, rosary, holy water, in like every room of my grandpa's farmhouse. Um, it was a thing. It was fun.
Okay.
So yeah, what I know that this story today has to do, at least the beginning of it, it has to do with an experience that you had at scout camp.
Yeah. As my dad transitioned into the LDS church from the Catholic church, I was around 12. So at this point, I was in middle school and starting to recognize that I had like crushes on the guy friends that I would have. And in Boy Scouts, I remember two off the top of my head. Um, and I think it was just a fun time to be like friends with them and be able to see like so much of myself mirrored from like how kind of closed off their world was.
And these are Mormon Boy Scouts that you're talking about.
Yeah, my dad became like the scout leader, but there were like two elders, and it was through the church. Everybody in there was part of the LDS, but I joined because I think I was starting to go to Young Men on Wednesdays. Um, and I don't know. I do say it was my dad's last ditch effort at putting some like masculinity in my bones.
If we can get this kid camping, he'll turn out straight for sure.
For sure. And it's like I enjoyed it, but like it did nothing for that. Like there was no stopping it.
Yeah. So when I guess when you're like on your scout camp trip or whatever you want to call it, what happened?
Well, first and foremost, I would always be really excited to see who we were like bunking with, who our tent mates were.
Me
But for
too.
the three for the 3 summers I went, I always had my own tent. So I mean, surely, like looking back, I mean, they had to know. Um, or I just had bad luck. But I think it was the prior. Um,
Wow. So
and
you were in
so,
your own tent, and so how many other people were there? Like were there like a few other tents that had multiple people in them, or was everyone like
yeah,
kind
it
of in
was
their own tent?
generally like a lot of the guys, their like dads would come, and my dad was there, but still, I had my own tent. Um, I don't know. And I just remember that being like having to get over a fear of bears very quick. Like everything that wrestled in the night was not um, something that kept me sleeping. So they would get us together. There was generally like, I want to say there was like 12 to 15 of us. And the scout camps themselves were all Mormon troops from Colorado and surrounding areas. So it was a very interesting um, place to be. But I loved like the structure of it. I loved being outdoors. We'd play like um, glow light or glow stick, like capture the flag and stuff. And I just
Oh,
remember their world was so different from what existed like inside of that. Because in middle school, I like had girlfriends, um, but I think that they were like opening my mind because it was again like the second time that a religion had basically kind of like made me feel like an outcast um, as a kid, knowing what I knew about myself. And so I think I was kind of rebelling against it, but enjoying the time that I had with all of like the guys on every hike. We saw so much of Colorado.
Yeah, that makes sense.
so you start off with like, okay, I'm so excited. Who am I going to be sharing a tent with or whatever, but end up just being on your own.
Yeah.
You love
And
this
so
journey, and then like where does the conflict develop here?
of just knowing, I think that trying to figure out like the crushes, because I mean, I would get like giddy, like excited to go
Yeah.
hang out with these guys and having to kind of like um mask it in a certain way. I don't know. And I don't really actually remember how I was masking in middle school. I don't think like the real masking came until like my high school days. And so there was like a part of me too that felt like I was kind of being like my authentic self as well. And it was just being accepted or like not talked about. You decide.
Maybe both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We continued through the church. Scout camp was one of those things. I remember as we got like older, they would have us do like cotillions and stuff. Um, and I just remember hating when girls from the church would have like a crush on me and want me to go to the cotillion with them. There was this like it almost like magnified the homosexuality in a sense where I was like, please go away. Because again, too, I had like girlfriends in like early high school, middle school to help like alleviate the bullying a little bit. And so there was this whole world that I felt like I just wasn't able to explain to them. And maybe that was so like bittersweet that they didn't know. And so I think like looking back, I always remember my time as just being like formidable and shaping like something for me in the future to go back to that felt like whole and understood. I
Yeah.
don't know. Or like
Let's go back a little bit to the scout camp. I remember you telling me when we were kind of talking about this story off of the show, you had gotten hurt, right? In some shape or form at scout camp. Tell us about that.
oh yeah, we had a weekend where like the entire scout ranch was closed, but my scout leaders had like a tradition of hiking the entire perimeter, which I believe was anywhere from like 16 to 20 miles.
Wow.
Um, it was daunting. And I think because I had such a gung-ho father, he he showed up. But not a lot of the other boys did. I think there was one or two other boys, and like four or five scout leaders. And think about mile 15, it was nearing the end. I just, my legs were tired, like exhaustion. I remember the guys I was with, we were just cracking jokes the whole way. And I just remember the laughing like intensified me wanting to collapse to my knees. And I had just like fallen and hurt my knee pretty bad. And I just remember looking at my dad like, okay, we got to wrap this up. Like, I got to get to a hospital. And um, the elders and the scout leaders were pulling out it's priesthood oil. Is that correct?
Sure.
Yeah, yeah, like anointed oil.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like praying over me. And I just was like, what's happening? Like, I'm hurt. Like,
Oh,
this is kind of
interesting.
crazy. And I think to like recognize that from a young age, like the reality of it, of being like, whoa, even like Catholics, we went to the hospital. And so this was something that I had like not seen. Like it was pray for us like while we're there, but not like as like plan B.
Yeah.
Right. So they were using this form of prayer, a priesthood blessing, as a replacement for medical care.
Yeah, and it was like one of those times where like they tried getting us converted so often as kids, like after my dad. And like it just wasn't something my mom said like absolutely not. I don't think we really felt like it. I think it was something like my it was a journey my dad was on and we
Yeah.
just happened to be like his kids. And so um I always thought it was like these things would come up and I was like, "Oh my gosh, they're putting on like a show for us to be like, oh my gosh, what magic. Like I believe in the
Yeah.
church." And it was just kind of like the opposite, like giggles
Right.
from me kind of
So it was like this performative process where they're trying to somehow
yeah.
demonstrate something that would be enticing enough for you to be more interested.
Yeah. And I was like, just like reality check. Like we gotta go. Like we gotta get these five like last however many miles done. And I am done for the day.
Yeah, wow.
So
I don't
did
know if that exists across other religions, to be honest with you, like having consecrated oil, hands over your head, kind of a blessing.
Yeah, we had a lot of like holy water growing up. It was like every time you walked into a new room in my grandpa's farmhouse, you would like bless yourself, like Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Oh,
And
okay.
Catholicism is just like religious choreography. It's
Ooh,
like kneel, stand, hold hands, shake hands, peace be with you. And the whole mass is just so structured like that. But they do some crazy stuff. I'd never experienced it. I mean, like learning the rosary and all of that, but um,
yeah.
we weren't like we weren't as involved um, in the Catholic Church besides going every Sunday and being baptized as it felt like we were in the Mormon Church. Like it became very much like a daily part of our lives, whether we were
mm,
being like babysat by, sisters or another family in the church or eating dinner at their house. It just became like where we were, like our friends, all of that. But we never were baptized.
That is so interesting because usually when they figure out that you're not like a quote unquote baptism for them, you kind of disappear in their world. At least that's been my perception of it. But I'm kind of curious more about like the crushes that you had at scout camp, and I can speak to my own after you answer this question. Did any of them like ever develop into anything with you, or was it just more so like you thought they were cute?
There were both. I definitely thought like a few of them were cute. I think that was something that was like new to me. Um, and obviously like everything we did was like hiking and so there was always this kind of like realness to it where it was just like you're in the wilderness there everything like you don't have any of your video games or that stuff. But then there were also ones where I could never tell. I think that I had always waited for them to make the first move and it was just never one of those things. Um, but it does um, sneak into like my current dating life in that, especially that I've moved to Utah. I keep finding these like Mormon boys or ex-Mormon boys who like need somebody to hold their hand, I guess, to be like, hey, you're gay. but like it feels wrong in a sense.
Like
Um,
they need your permission. They need someone's permission.
no, just kind of like pointed out, like, hey, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I think that's the beauty
Mm,
of it too, is like when I say it, I like say it from like a place of love and like as far as I've gotten in like my own exploration of my queerness. Um, because Utah is in fact the place where I've had like the most immersion into it, is
hmm
that like I want to be that person, but I can't.
mm.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess what I'm about to say will be a preview of one of our episodes that will come out one day. But like you, Jordan, I had an experience at scout camp as well. There was this guy who had moved, I can't remember from where, like maybe Texas or something. And he moved into my ward because I grew up Mormon. And we went to scout camp together. And like we were like holding hands in the tent and like nothing beyond that really. But it was like this cute little like romantic thing. And then he moved away. And then I saw him years later, and then a few years after that, he died. So,
That's
That's so
devastating. That's
sad.
just like tragic of it all. Do you mind me asking how like he passed?
he was in, well, he went on his mission, and he actually died in a car accident on his mission.
Oh my
Oh,
God, that's terrible.
Yeah. So that will be a story one day. Of course, because you, as we all know, I have 1,000
yeah,
stories.
because
I
that,
get a new one every day, probably at this
yeah,
point. So, but yeah,
there's
so
a lot
Jordan,
of
I
things that can
guess let's talk about, we can move a little bit past the scout camp thing. And generally, we can just have a discussion about how it has been like for you being not a Mormon, moving to Utah from Colorado, and like even up today. Um, like how has it been? Like I'm sure that like me, you run into a lot of guys who like will say that they're gay and Mormon in quotations. I like to call this Mormon 2.0. And so let's have a chat about that.
Yeah, I haven't dated. I haven't gone on as many dates with like active Mormons. I have had conversations with them. But I want to like first and foremost, coming to Utah has been like the best thing I ever did for my life. Like despite its quirks, and I always vowed that I would be like the gay guy I wish I had when I first came out. That was
Mhm.
like that just like validated my existence and like gave me some guidance. And because there is this like part of our history where like we don't have a lot of elders or like people telling us how to do it. And especially when we come from being raised where like everything that we believe and know of ourselves is wrong or bad, um, or doesn't get us like eternal life with our family, like that is traumatizing. Um, my first couple of dates here were with like guys with you like almost adolescent age children, which was really interesting for me because that was not really anybody in Colorado,
Mm.
um, who did that. And you look at that and go like, what a journey for them to have gotten here. Like they went on missions and got married and had children and were finally able to go, like this isn't me. And I think that's beautiful. But it was something to like get used to, you know. Other guys, like did not do that. And they're, finding it out earlier, um, and coming out. And again, I almost have to do this thing where like I say, like, hi, give them some advice and set them on their free because there's so many things I give such value and pride in where I'm at because like it took experience and actual life to like form this. And so I feel bad in telling them, what to think or how to live when they already went through that. I want them to like discover those things for themselves and put themselves in those situations. And I never feel like I could be the guy to like be patient.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Abby, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think I relate to it, and I'm honestly just kind of comparing it in my mind to my own experience with leaving Mormonism, even though it didn't have anything to do with sexuality. Um, I remember having a conversation with friends, and Jacob was there, and one of our friends in particular said something like, I don't want to be responsible for your faith transition. But at the same time, she wanted to like talk about those things and let me know that like it was okay that I was feeling that way. And kind of to your point, like send me on my path, but not walk that path directly with me. And I think that makes a lot of sense
No,
because
absolutely.
yeah, because you have already figured this thing out for yourself. And so you want to help other people like figure themselves out, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to go through every step of that with them.
And so I think that's been difficult to navigate, um, you know, how much I'm able to give of that. But sorry, I
Yeah.
don't know where
Yeah.
I was going with that.
I also wanted to point out, maybe Jacob, you can speak to this a little bit more, like honestly, how different your perspective is than Jacob's, maybe because you were never a member, and weren't like fully immersed in it in the same way. Um, And Jacob, if you don't agree with any way that I describe this, feel free to chime in. But because Jacob's been like hurt at the hands of the church, I feel like, and by people that are active members are involved in it, there's a little bit more of like a bitter taste in his mouth about it. When Jacob says like Mormon 2.0, it's sort of like yeah, these people who don't know what they're doing, don't know what they want, they're trying to live two lives, versus your perspective is a little bit more like, okay, you walked that path for a while and you're realizing this and starting to walk this other path, and that's beautiful. So,
Mhm.
Jacob, I'm curious kind of what you make of that difference.
Well, at the end of the day, they are Mormon 2.0. Like, that's just what it is. And so, like, yes, I think it's good. Like Jordan is saying that it's a quote unquote beautiful thing. I don't know if I would call it that. But, like, if they're having that realization where they start to question the Mormon religion because of their sexuality or whatever it may be, I do think that's a good thing. But a lot of these people are not taking it the next step. They are like digging their left foot deeper into a hole, which is in the Mormon church, and they're
They're
barely
still,
starting to bring out the right foot, which is their sexuality or whatever reason it may be. And
yeah.
so I honestly, I have no tolerance for it because it has screwed me left and right my whole life until I left it. And I moved to
It's like
DC.
somebody being friends with the like abuser still and like doing what's acceptable, like both parties can be happy. And I think that's what, like, not to interrupt, but I think instead of like saying all of that, because I truly believe that, is instead being like, okay, like you're kind of on your own here and like you need to be because like what I'm going to say to you might feel like an attack.
Well, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but when they're asking for my opinion or they're wondering why I won't go on a date with them because they're in both worlds, I flat out
Uh-huh.
tell them, I don't hold that back. I'm like, if you want to willfully put your mother effing blinders on and wear them proudly. But I'm going to tell you exactly what I think about it.
Yeah.
And he's not lying either, listeners. I've seen the messages. I've seen the receipts. I've seen him pop off on a few of these potential
It is.
date
Yeah.
options here.
Like,
And
But
like just the
go ahead,
dating in
Jordan.
general is just already like it is kind of like hard enough. And I think when you go through that, when you leave those like toxic places and you get to your self-worth, it just makes it easier, like you're saying, Jacob, to realize that like I'm beyond this. I've moved on from this. And it does like it gets frustrating when you're out there like trying to share your life with somebody cool and time again you're just like I'm like you feel like 6 steps ahead, like you've been to the future and you're just like I'll see you on the other side.
Right. Been to the future. I guess that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
But
I think
I,
that's such a good way to describe it, though, because Jacob's experience was so much like he figured a lot of these things out really early on in his life compared to a lot of others. Like by the time he was 18, he was deciding what he believed and who he was. And so to be interfacing with these adults who are in their late 20s, 30s, who seem kind of lost and wandering, it's understandably frustrating.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
so over
Yeah.
it. Like even this past week, I'm like, it's amazing I'm not a chain smoker at this point. Like, seriously.
I know
So
a good brand.
So, as Abby knows, and if you're a loyal listener, you know this too, I changed my dating profile. I literally put in there, I am not dealing with you gay Mormons in quotations. I'm not doing it. I have no tolerance for it. Goodbye. And I matched with this
You're
guy.
brave.
What?
You're brave to still like have dating profiles, but continue.
And I have it in there and I match with this guy. We're talking for this is at least 3 weeks. We're on 3 weeks, probably at least now. He disappeared for a week and came back, which I shouldn't tolerate, but I do. And
No.
he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to school." And I'm like, "Oh, where are you gonna go?" And he says, "BYU." And I'm like, "Out of all places, why would you go there?" And he says, "Because I had a personal revelation from God that I feel like I should." And I said, "Are you Mormon?" And he's like, "Yes, I am." And I said, "Did you not read my profile?" And
It's like no taps on the other app, and they
ugh,
still do it. They still tap.
literally makes me boil. And
Yeah.
then he's like, "Oh, I guess I didn't see that, but I respect why you're saying that," and I just didn't reply. I was like, "See you later, dude. I'm not doing this world. You should have known. It's literally in your face."
I wonder how much of this overlaps with just general life experience things, like when you feel like you have already learned a life lesson or gone down a certain road, it's really hard to be with someone that's not on your same level. Because
Oh
I
yeah.
experience this when it comes to like um emotional intelligence and mental health because my job is a therapist and I don't expect anyone to be like also a therapist or like a genius or anything like that. But sometimes I'm like, I just don't know how we could possibly connect on the same level when I feel like I'm light years ahead of you.
Totally. It's like writing a paper and you have the audience for it, but like all of your sources to cite are experience. And in like knowing that, it's you have to like fly the white flag again and just go, okay, one of these
Yeah.
days, you
Yeah,
know.
it's so true.
Yeah. Well, okay, guys. I think we can stop here. Um, this is Abby's last time. Abby, I mean, I'm sure I'll have you back in who knows how many months when I needed an emergency co-host for
Oh, I'm just your backup plan, huh?
No, no, you know that's not true. We had literally a plan to do this theme.
I
Um,
know.
but is there any parting words you would like to say to the listeners until you come back?
Listeners, it's been real. I'm sure I'll see you soon. Keep it spicy. Send in your messages. Come on the pod and tell us your stories. And to Jacob's earlier comment about not tolerating things, don't tolerate things you don't need to. If someone disappears for a week and then comes back, that's dumb. Tell them it's dumb.
I
That's my
did.
parting.
I
That's
most
my parting
certainly
advice.
did. I most certainly told him, but not for that reason. And then for the listeners, as always, well, I guess I should say this first. Jordan will be our co-host with me for November. So he is going to bring some guests off of his side of the world here. and we'll be interviewing them together. So super excited about that. And then, as always, make sure you subscribe and save or streaming anywhere you can get your podcasts. And make sure you follow us on social media as well. It's Romance Unraveled on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you would like a story to share of your own on the show, you can message me directly on one of those social media platforms, and I will get you scheduled to come on. Until next time.